Why have 10 tips just because it's a nice round number when you only have 8 good ones? Besides, my favorite number is 8, so here we go. Tip number 1 is that sound is more important than the visuals, so make sure all of your human vocals are as loud as they can be without peaking out in your waveform monitor. I use Wave's Vocal Rider, which is a fantastic plugin to balance all of my vocal audios. Basically what it does is increase all of the softer tones and the voice inflections and decrease all of the sudden loud parts of a human speech to have a more even mix. I simply set my range here like this and then boost up the gain like this, and it will automatically go through and ride the volume levels to adjust for speech. There's a non-affiliate link in the description below if you are interested. Totally worth its cost. Tip number 2. Because audio is the most important element of your video, I have a second quick tip for it, and that is to reduce the music by another 3 to 5 decibels once you think you have it at a good volume. I have found that I consistently mix the music hotter than it should be, and it becomes more of a distraction than an asset. This is a common mistake for most video editors and one of the most frequent complaints from viewers. Now, if there are no human vocals speaking, then go ahead and crank the music up to a balanced level with where the vocals have been riding. If there are no vocals at all in the video, then just make sure your audio doesn't peak out in the waveform monitor. Tip number 3 is to periodically check your color grade. The first way I do this is to quickly go from clip to clip, one after another, spending a quarter of a second on each, and make sure that the overall feel of the entire body of work is the same color grade. You want to make sure that you don't have one clip in one section that is standing out with a very different color temperature, contrast, tint, or saturation. In the same vein, the second way that I check the color grade is to take a 5 or 10 minute break, preferably away from the computer screen, and then come back to my video and see what my first impression of the color grade is. Sometimes our eyes and brain adjust to a current look and we can't see the blaring obvious, that it is either too cool, too warm, or too tinted. Like the last part of the tip, come back to your color grade after 5 or 10 minutes and identify what colors tend to hit you right away. Tip number 4, and this one is difficult to do as an editor, cut out everything that is not completely necessary to the video. How do you know if something is a necessary element? If a clip before and a clip after any given clip could work without that middle clip between them, then remove the middle clip, and remember that your audience is not going to miss anything they haven't seen. You may be in love with a shot or a line of dialogue, but if it is not crucial to driving the story forward, or the emotion that you need to convey, or the message, then remove it. Tip number 5, when you think you are close to locking in an edit, go ahead and play the video all the way through from the beginning. Anytime you start getting bored or look away or think of something else, your audience will too. You have either too much unnecessary or repeated information, or you have not gotten the story or the emotion quick enough or at the right time. Again, hack away, reorder things until you can grab and hold interest for the entire video. Tip number 6 is show your video to someone else before sending it to the client. Getting outside feedback, especially from someone without vested interest in the project, is invaluable. Don't take all feedback as gospel truth. Do heavily consider it though. Bonus tip here, if any of their feedback is something that has been in the back of your head at some point in the project, or is something that you are afraid that they're going to say, then it is especially true and you do need to do something about that. Tip number 7, rewatch your video and identify small things you can do to add some polish or make it a little higher quality. Something like extra flair with titles using bounce expressions in After Effects. You can check out the video that I have on how to do that right there. Would a slightly flashier transition be appropriate, or can you punctuate titles or on-screen cues with simple sound effects? It may cost you a few more hours of your time than you originally budgeted for, but you can really impress the client and get ahead of the competition by going the extra mile in quality. It will also help you when posting on social media or in your demo reel for bigger and better clients or projects. And last tip, tip number 8, is about organization. Now you really need to be doing this from the beginning of a project to save time, but take a few extra steps to organize all of your assets nicely in folders as well as your project bin within your timeline. You wouldn't believe how many projects I thought I would never have to revisit and make small changes to that ended up taking me 4 times as long to complete because I didn't put all the assets in the correct folders for that project and ended up having to re-download files or scrub through my hard drive to find a handful of obscure assets. I don't care if you are using a music file or graphic from a dozen other projects, have a dozen instances of that file on your hard drive in each of the project folders. At some point, you just may archive certain projects to other hard drives and then get contacted by the client to make a quick revision, and this keeps everything together so that you never have to have offline files to go back and try to find. Well, that's it for this video. Though I won't be seeing you in the next video, you're sure to see me rough.